You may be seated. Now, Jericho. I need you to look at somebody dead in the face and say, it's my turn right now. Y'all didn't say it loud enough. Turn to the other neighbor and say, neighbor, it's my turn. Not 6 months from now. Not October, not November, but right now. It's my time. Is it all right if I unpack that text for you? The story of Jericho represents a people who are coming together to possess and to receive the things of God which was promised to them even before they arrived. Which means that every child of God already has a blessing promised to you even before you arrive at your destination of that blessing. Oh, y'all ain't talking to me. Because your blessing was predestined and preordained, stamped with your name already on it before you arrived. Am I right about it? Listen, these promises and blessings have not passed you by. These promises and blessings still lie before you and in front of you that you have not yet inherited or grabbed a hold of. Did you get that? This is a promise that has been made to Israel and to you a long time ago, and it's taken Israel a while to possess it. The question is, why has it taken Israel so long to possess the promise which God gave to them before they ever became a nation? Ooh. Here is a thought of today. If there's anybody who has been waiting for some stuff to come to you, that you know beyond the shadow of a doubt that God has promised you, somebody who knows that God has promised you some blessings that you still don't have it, start praising God, for the text says, now Jericho. Y'all still haven't got it. Turn to your neighbor and say, now Jericho. I want everyone to grab this. This is your Jericho moment. And everything that led up to your Jericho has brought you to this place. You are ready to deal with possessing that which God has promised you. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, it's my time now. It's not about to be my time. It's not going to be my time. It's your time as I speak. If you don't understand, let me knock at your door and let you know that you ought to check out the definition of now. When you say now, it means it's urgent. Is that right? You can't be hoping. You can't be thinking. You can't be hoping and praying and that. You got to already know. This is not for folk who want to delay their blessings. This is not for folk who want to sit back digging on a scene with a gangster lean. This is a word for someone who needs a urgent blessing this very second. Is there anybody in here who needs a blessing right now? Not tomorrow, but they need a blessing right now. This is not my season to wonder about it. This is not my season to pray about it. This is the season of now, because you've been waiting long enough. I wish I could get somebody to walk with me. We've been waiting long enough for this blessing. We've been waiting long enough for this miracle to happen. Now it's urgent. It's immediate. It's not someday. It's not pretty soon. It's not I will or I may. It is I need it right now. Push your neighbor and say, right now. Come on, push your neighbor and say, right now. Can I tell you something else about now? Now means there are certain things that cannot wait for a later date. Hello, somebody. Because if you're going to move into your blessing, if we are going to minister and shepherd this community, understand that this season is not about convenience sake. It's about ministry. It's about unity. It's about commitment. It's about discipleship. We got too many people not doing anything because you don't like who's in charge. But when God is in charge, it don't matter who the name of the person is. It's time to do what God says because you are supposed to be his disciple. Can't nobody talk to me now. This season is not about a popularity contest. This season is not about options. You don't have options when it comes down to God. Can I get a witness in here? You got an option on who you marry, who you think you ought to marry, but there is no options when it comes down to what God tells you to do. See, some stuff can't wait for the middle of the year or the end of the year. And if you miss this season, you will miss your moment. Oh, preach, Pastor Cox. Can I tell you one other thing about now? The way you exit one season will determine how you go into the next season. Let me hit rewind. Some of you haven't shouted yet. I said the way you exit one season will determine how you go into your next season. Before Jericho was rough on you. Before Jericho, you cried sometimes. Before Jericho, you were depressed sometimes. But God told me to tell you, you are coming up on the last day of your Jericho. But if you're going to enter Jericho, you must exit this season the right way. You can't exit this season throwing a pity party. You can't exit this season right. You got to exit it right. You're looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. Can I help you get your situation right? See, this season of your life was a nightmare. But you're still here. You're still here in your right mind. The devil tried to take you out. But is there anybody in here who can say, but through it all, if it had not been for the God that I serve, I could have been crazy. I wouldn't have made it, but I know that I'm standing because God has been with me when it appeared as though nobody else was. I know I got some battle scars and wounds. I know I've had to cry some tears, but at the end of the day, I'm still standing. Can I get anybody in here to testify? You still standing in spite of. Every now and then. Look at your neighbor and say every now and then. Oh, y'all didn't say it right. So turn to your other neighbor sitting behind you and say every now and then. Oh, y'all still ain't got it. I need in the balcony, turn around and say every now and then. Get this, every now and then. The devil wins a battle. Every now and then. But thanks be to God, I'm winning the campaign. I said, thanks be to God, I'm winning the campaign. I'm going to exit this season right because my new season is about to start right now. This season was something I could never imagine. But I'm going out right because I'm ready for now. Because I know what Bishop Mack said a few minutes ago, they that wait upon the Lord, he shall renew their strength. I know David said, fret not thyself because of evil doers. And Paul said, if no weapon formed against me shall prosper. If God be for me, then can be against me. Can I just say one more thing about now? It's in the text. God says, now Jericho. Which means if God says this is my season, it's my season. Now means God is not limited with all of the unfavorable conditions that are in my life presently. Wait. It means that God is not limited with all of the unfavorable conditions that are in my life right now. See, church folk don't know when to shout. If God says right this minute, right this second, it doesn't matter how unfavorable the conditions of my life might be, because if God says it's my time now, it's my time. It don't matter how jacked up my condition might be. God says it, he means it. God is going to do something to jack up and bless me. Oh, heck. That ought to make you want to shout, because some of you need to be honest with yourself. But the truth of the matter is your life is jacked up. You tore up from the floor up. Your money is funky. Your relationship is on the blank. Your dog or your cat won't bark or say meow. But God told me to tell you, now is your season. It doesn't matter how jacked up you are. God says it's your season. Oh, preach, Pastor Cox. I think I'm preaching here. I feel pretty good. I've been sick a while, but I feel pretty good right now. You got to understand something here. What you don't have working for you. Because what you don't have working for you doesn't matter. Because when folk look at what God is going to do with you and for you, in spite of what you don't have to offer. Woo. Because what you don't have working for you will only become the talking points of your testimony. Folk will ask the question, how you did it. You ever ask you, how you got that car? I said, because my wife works. How you got this? And I don't know. I just went down there and I was just big and bold enough to go down there because I'm God's child. And I said I wanted this. And it was nothing but a but God situation. Anybody in here know what a but God situation is all about? If you don't know what a but God situation is, you just keep on living. And sooner or later, if you trust in God, a but situation will come your way. Oh, y'all sit down. I ain't through yet. I'm kind of happy. But here's the problem. Turn to your neighbor and say, here's the problem. When you get ready to move into your now, you're going to have to learn how to deal with walls of resistance. Y'all didn't get that. Say, I'm going to have to learn how to deal with walls of resistance. You didn't say it like you believe it. I'm telling you, in order for me to learn how to move to my next destination, I'm going to have to learn how to deal with walls of resistance. Folk who aren't catching some type of trouble, you are not really moving forward with God. Folk, I said, who are not catching some type of trouble, you are not really moving forward with God. Listen, inheriting the blessing that God has prepared for you is not going to be easy. When you get to a certain place in your life, I know I've experienced it. When you get to a certain place in your life, you start to feel something that will not let you go any further. Am I right? But God says it's time right now to deal with our walls of limitations. Walls of depression. Walls of disappointments. Walls of not committed to the ministry that God has ordained for me. And when you believe you can't break out of what you've been in, walls of limitations, when you believe you can't break out of being sad, walls of limitation, listen, the resistance has been there staring at you because a wall is a natural thing. I said a wall is a natural thing. See, some of us have have some things opposing us that we look at and don't see it as a wall, but it's there. Oh, y'all will catch it next week. And I'm not going to charge you nothing for it. You'll catch it next week. Listen. Your wall is not just spiritual. Too many of us think all of our walls are spiritual. That's hogwash. Oh, yeah. I'm going to say it again. Your wall is not just spiritual. Your wall can be something that you can touch, see, and feel. Some of you have some stuff that's against you in the natural trying to stand in your way. God says you are not ready for this blessing when you came out of Egypt. You were not ready for this blessing when you were in the wilderness. But now God says you are ready for your blessing because you are able to see the walls of resistance. Now, Bishop, this caught me last night. Watch this. The walls and bricks were being built in Egypt by Israel's ancestors. Wait. I said the walls of brick were being built by Israel's ancestors while they were in bondage. Is that right? Oh, wait. In other words, their ancestors built walls while they were in Egypt, but God is going to help another generation tear down what's been built up. Anybody here? See, listen. Bricks and walls represented the historical bondage of Israel's ancestors. God is now saying you have some stuff in your life that you didn't bring up. There's some stuff in your life or somebody in your life that had some inherited tendencies which you had nothing to do with, but they are your wall. But because you found yourself in their presence, you found yourself locked into their cycle, because you committed yourself fully and wholly to them, you became surrounded with their stuff. Oh, preach, Pastor Cox. You became engulfed with stuff in your life that you didn't bring in your life. There's some stuff tying you down that's been there for generations. God told me to tell you some of those walls that you are looking at is not your wall, but they remind you of some stuff that's been in your family's history. But God told me to tell you that now is your time, and you're about to bring down some stuff the devil's been bringing on you just because of your ancestors. Woo. Y'all looking at me like I'm crazy. Y'all ain't caught it. Everybody has somebody that is just plain crazy in their family. Everybody got somebody crazy in their family. I know I'm right. Y'all, am I right? And some of y'all may have 2 or 3 crazy folk in your family. But I guarantee you there's everybody that's got a family got some crazy folk in their church family. You might have cancer in your family. Heart disease in your family. But turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, the curse has been lifted. I'm about to bring my ancestors' built up walls down. Woo. I know right about now you're thinking in the back of your head, how do I tear these walls down? Because inquiring minds want to know. Listen. Please listen. Things get harder as you get closer to your blessing. I will say that again. Things get harder as you get closer. See, the text says, it's in the text, Jericho is a fortified city. It's in the text. It's locked up. It's been locked up because the walls tell you Jericho is locked up. The text also says that Jericho was securely shut up because of the children of Israel. You missed it. Understand the resistance. If you get some of it, you might get so excited that you might want to tear this church up. But don't tear up the church yet. Let's build a new one first. Listen. Jericho was securely shut up because of the children of Israel. Now watch this. If you take out the last phrase, because of the children of Israel, you could still say Jericho was shut up. But when they saw the children of Israel, it wasn't shut up. The text says it was securely shut up. You didn't get that? The suggested implication, when the people of Jericho saw the children of Israel coming to take their blessing, the folk in Jericho shut up the gates up even tighter. You still haven't caught it yet. It wasn't shut up as tight until the children of Israel got to Jericho. You still haven't caught it yet. You still haven't caught it yet. The closer Israel came to getting their blessings, the tighter they shut the walls, and the walls became tighter when they saw the people who was coming to get their blessings. You still haven't caught it yet. The inhabitants of Jericho didn't just start shutting up the entrance, they shut the entrance every day. They just shut it up tighter when they saw Israel approaching for their blessings. You still ain't caught it yet. Which means the closer Israel came to taking what God promised them, the more secure the city became to try and to keep them from receiving their blessing. So listen, when you get closer to your blessing, resistance will get greater. When the resistance gets greater, that's not the time to give up. That's the time to start shouting. Because when the opposition gets harder, it is evident that you are getting closer than you have ever been to receiving what God has just for you. Oh, yeah, see, y'all ain't shouting. You ain't shouting. When you meet resistance in your life, quit backing up. Like the young folks say, quit punking out. Quit getting scarred. Because resistance is the evidence that you are closer to your breakthrough. Oh, preach, Pastor Cox. Can I knock on your door and ring your bell? The reason all hell, I said hell, the reason all hell is breaking loose all around you is not because you step out of the will of God. It's because you are closer to God. It's because you are getting the blessing than you've ever been in your life. Whew. I don't want to turn faith out. But can I get you to turn around to your neighbor and say, I must be real close to my blessing? Because everything is coming at me all at once. This is the worst of my life. Let's make it real. I'm talking to honest folk in here. I'm getting ready to use bad grammar. I ain't talking to you stuck up, sanctified, holy folk. But is there anybody in here who can say, so far this year has brought me more trouble, more situations, more heartaches, and more pain than I've ever been in my life? But I came to make an announcement. You catching more mess, or you know what then you've ever caught before? It's because you were this close to stepping over the edge into your breakthrough. There's no way that I'm so close to my breakthrough that I'm going to turn around and say, I ain't going. Stuff may get harder. Just praise him anyhow. Take the pain. Just praise him anyhow. Take the struggle, because the level, I don't want you to shout, I want you to think. The level of your fruitfulness is tied to the level of your discomfort. The more discomfort you have, the more fruitful you will be. You want to know how big the blessing is waiting on you? Look at how big the mess is that you're catching, because the size of your blessing can be given away by the size of your burdens. Can I talk just a little while longer? Is it all right, Sister Marsh, if I talk just a little while longer? Yeah. Then I'm going to take my seat. In Joshua chapter 2, you'll meet a woman by the name of Rahab. Watch this. It's in the text. When Rahab talks to the spies in Joshua 2:8, she tells them that the folk inside of Jericho are well aware of everything that God has been doing for Israel. See, when you read Rahab talking to the spies, she says, we were afraid of you because we know everything that the Lord has brought you through. It's in the text. It's in the text. Look at the text. It says, we are afraid of you, not because of you, but we already know what the Lord has brought you through. Do you really know why the devil is raising extra problems in your life? He's been rehearsing your testimony, knowing that you are coming to this point. You haven't caught it, church. You ain't caught it. I said the devil, he's been rehearsing everything that God has brought you through. Already he sees how God has made a way for you when there was no way. He sees how God healed you when the doctors came out shaking your head. He sees how angels picked you up and placed your feet on solid ground. He sees how you put down the liquor, the gambling, the lottery tickets, the crack, other women, other men. He sees how you got out of jail and put your life together. He sees how you didn't lose your mind when the man walked out on you. You went on down to Walmart, got a thank you card, sent it to the girlfriend that took the man from you and said, I want to thank both of y'all for getting the you know what out of my life. God says the devil is scared of you because he's been rehearsing and going over the history of your life. Woo. Now listen at this. If the enemy has been talking about what God has done for you, why are you sitting there sucking lemons? I think you ought to declare today, I'm going to get up and rehearse my testimony. I think you ought to declare today, I know what God has done for me. You ought to turn to somebody, anyhow, turn to somebody and say, look at how God bought me. Look at how God healed me. Look at how God made a way for me. I wish I had about 50 saints who's not ashamed to get on your feet and say, this is a mighty good day. If the devil can talk about my testimony, I better open up my mouth and start declaring what God has done for me. I better wave my hands and declare and testify what God has done for me.